back to Adorabuild. My name is Ruth and my little dog is called Pucky. And in today's video we are going to be catching up with where my Goblin King elf shelf is up to. So this is sort of like a midpoint video on this particular display shelf. So let's take a look at this in a little bit more detail so that you guys can see all the close-ups and the extra bits and pieces that I've been able to add to this display since you saw this last time. Okay, so here is the whole shelf in a little bit more detail. So for those of you who may not have seen the first video, or it's because it's been a while and you can't remember what happened in the first Goblin King video, this is the Goblin Village area. I am then going to create a little bridge going from this side over to this central island. Then we have the Goblin King's Palace over here, which does actually have the lovely working drawbridge here, which is such a cool feature of this set. I absolutely love the way how that looks. And then over on this side, which is actually a newly built area, this is actually going to be where the Goblin King's dragon is going to be placed and situated. So let's take a look at each of those sections in more detail, starting off with the Goblin Village. So one of the things that I have tried to do with this particular Goblin Village area is add in more plants. So I have put in quite a few extra leaves and a few extra plants. I do need to grab some more of the little red thorns, which would be really cool to have, and then I've also added in the little red gems as well, which weren't initially part of any of these sets. One of the other things that I also worked on was being able to blend and transition the dark bluish grey plate through to the bright green plate as well, and I think that that actually looks really quite subtle and delicate at the moment too. There will be more plants getting added, particularly once I have fully worked out exactly where I want all the goblins to be. I have a funny feeling that the goblin placement at the moment is exactly where they want, so I think it will just be a little bit of a matter of adding in a few more grasses, shrubs and flowers just over in this area, and a little bit sort of details in through here too, which should be really lovely and really exciting. There also needs to be a little bit more work done in this little section as well, between the goblin slide and the castle, so I'll need to work on that. I do actually really like the idea of adding in a little bit more greys and the navy blue through this section too. One of the things that I talked about in my previous video was adding in a rope bridge between here, and you can see that I have put some tiles or jumpers in here to mark that out. So that's basically where that little bridge is going to be running, and I do have a pretty good idea about how I want that little rope bridge to look as well. So it's just a matter of finding the parts and working that out in more detail. I've also added in some blue tile markers here for where the drawbridge actually lowers down to, and then there will need to be a little bit of detail added into this little middle section also, just to be able to tie that into the castle and to the rest of the display too. I ended up doing most of the work on the river on a friend's live stream, which was really super fun and fantastic. So there has been quite a few more details added in here too. The main one is the tile. So the last time that you all saw this, it was just the lime green plates, and I wasn't too sure whether or not I was going to add in green transparent tiles or blue or whatever, but I really like the trans blue and the trans light blue tiles on top of the lime green. It just gives the water this really nice murky and eerie sort of look to it. During that friend's live stream, I also had a request to have one of the little goblins abseiling off the side of the shelf, which I thought was such a beautiful idea. So I have added in Barblin here to onto a vine to do that. Another comment that I actually received from one of my lovely viewers was, instead of adding in diamonds onto the studs that actually have the little holes in them, was to add in the vines. And I absolutely love that idea, again making it look that little bit more creepy and eerie too. The fronds that I've put into the water as well, I made sure that I used that beautiful olive green colour too, so that they were a little bit darker and a little bit more menacing as well, rather than the bright greens and the traditional Lego green. So with this particular section where the dragon is going to be, I wanted that to be really dark and rocky and menacing, and I am actually quite happy with the rock work that I have put into this section, but I do need to add in quite a lot more terrain and details on these black plates here, just in order to give it a little bit more detail. So there we have the progress that I have made with this elf shelf. I do hope that you have enjoyed hearing the details on the Goblin Village and the Goblin King. Okay, so I hope that you have enjoyed seeing this shelf in a lot more detail, and that you can actually start to see the progression of this particular design. As always, I do really hope that you have enjoyed this video, and if you have, feel free to give this a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, as well as turning on that notification bell if you don't want to miss out on my content as soon as it's uploaded. Feel free to leave a comment down below or join me in one of my live streams, which usually happen on a Saturday, but every now and again on a Wednesday too. Until my next video or my next live stream, please take care of yourselves and bye bye!